Hello there, and welcome into Better Advertising with Better Media, a podcast for brand founders and marketers to share strategies and stories that help brands grow in this marketplace world we're living in today, the world of Amazon and Walmart retail. My name is Justin Knuckles, and I am your host here on the show. I also help oversee various clients here at Better Media as an account director. If you're new here, welcome in. And if you are new here, one question you might have is, who is Better Media? But more importantly, do we work with brands and companies that look like you? Who finds success working with Better Media, or where should you look for help advertising if we aren't the best fit? To answer these questions, I want to welcome in today's guest, Jess Jackson. Jess is our head of client success, and lucky for all of you, she's one of the first people you'll have the pleasure to meet if you reach out to Better Media. So on that note, I want to welcome you in, Jess. Hello, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Justin. I'm excited to dive into our topic today.
I'm excited to hear a bit of what you've been talking about with brands. I know you're really the first person, again, that people come to and say, I'm having these issues with my advertising, or I want to grow my brand. Whatever their advertising marketing goals are, you're the first one to hear it all. So you're kind of our voice of customer, hearing, what customers are having headaches with. So we'll just start there. What are some of the common things people are coming to you saying, can you help us with this? What are their pain points?
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely one of my favorite subjects. One being I'm super passionate about strategy and solving people's problems. And that's kind of what got me in the role here at Better Media of client success, because I'm very passionate about trying to bring solutions to the table. So getting to talk to these brands and really hear what they're facing at multiple levels, right? Because we talk to very large brands, and then we have some brands that come through the door that are smaller, are just getting started. And surprisingly enough, some of these pain points happen at all phases, right? Of course, there's the things like my tacos is high, my ACOS, my ROAS, all those things, people can relate to, and you're going to face those in all stages. But some of the deeper, more rooted problems that come to the table that a lot of people can relate to are things like, I really feel like there's no strategy to my advertising. That's a big one I hear a lot. It's like, I know my advertising is being ran and there's work being done in the account, but I'm very unclear of what the strategy is. So here at Better Media, we really do want to lay out a kind of a roadmap for success. And that is something that I like to talk to brands about when they come on the first call, that discovery call, to learn more about what's going on. And then another pain point that I'll highlight is feeling like there's no communication between either their current agency or the current person who's working on their account, right? They feel like they have to bring the solutions to the person who's managing their ads, asking if they're doing this or doing that, and not feeling like those solutions are brought to them. So it leaves them feeling like they need to be the ones doing the research. They need to be the ones listening to the podcast and listening to the webinars. And that's all great. But as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a brand owner, you're stretched so thin already. And we really want to take that off of your plate. So hearing people suffer from that totally makes sense. And that's why we really try to build a solid solution for that.
I just want to jump in here. Just taking away from those two pain points, not really having like a I'll call it a thoughtful strategy behind their advertising. It's just like they're spending, but what are we doing? Like, what's the goal out of it? So that's one pain point. And the other being, we have to bring you the ideas, the betas, the new things that other competitors are doing. So it sounds like people are really coming to you with pain points of like more the service delivery rather than the end result. Like you said, the end ROAS, like they're not so much not concerned, but maybe that's not the pain point. It's, hey, we're having to fight so hard to get these really like cutting edge strategies put in place.
Exactly. Everyone has the goal of being profitable, right? Every agency is going to be trying to do that for you. There's only so many levers you can pull to make that happen, but it's the execution. And that's where the strategy comes into place. And I feel like that's where a lot of the holes are. It's like, yes, we're all trying to get you the best metrics, right? We're trying to get you the best margins and the best numbers. But are we sacrificing long-term strategy by trying to get you the lowest tacos? A lot of times we are. And when I dig into these accounts and look, it's like, yeah, we might try to be getting you the lowest tacos this month, but this is hurting your long-term growth 3, 4 years, maybe even 1 year from now, because we're not really thinking about building out your custom your brand awareness, your customer base, right? So when I really dig into that with these brands, we're like, that makes sense. Like you got to invest in that growth. So definitely that's a pain point for big and small brands that we see a lot of.
Yeah, a lot of advertisers, I'm not going to call it any agency, just, it's a common fault within advertising is, trying to achieve short-term successes and wins, maybe lowering your A cost by 10%. But that comes at the cost of your long-term success. Maybe you're backing off on really strong converting keywords that are improving your organic rank over time, thus getting you more top-line sales. But it takes really high CPCs. It might take a 10%, an A cost 10% over your goal to continue moving the volume needed to improve organic rank. So those are, like you said, investments that are for the long term. But it should all be data backed. I'm not saying spend wildly, but yeah, it's kind of a fault of advertising is trying to lean into those short term wins at the cost of those long term gains. So um, setting up a plan, like you're saying, for brands that we're going to achieve this in the short term. Here's our metrics. We need to achieve this in the midterm and the long term. So that way we have an end goal in mind and we know what we're doing in the short term that costs us money is moving the needle 2 years down the line, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And really educating. And that's where the thought leadership comes in, right? Because some brands don't understand that. They have to be looking at these spreadsheets and they have, or backing up a bit, maybe we're working with the e-com manager or the advertising manager, and they have to speak in these scary conference rooms to board members and be able to explain why the margins are lower. And we really want to give you the proper data to explain that and show like, hey, this is why, and it's for the good of the brand. And we kind of empower you with those tools to be able to explain that to leadership. And then if we're working directly with the brand owner, then being able to show that to them, because looking at those spreadsheets day in and day out of profit margins, it could look a little scary. But when you can actually look at new to brand and subscribe and save users and really see how you're building your audience and how your brand awareness is increasing and conversion rate is increasing and all that is getting stronger, then you can really see, okay, this is going to pay off.
I think it really helps to have someone that can tell you a story behind your advertising. Like anybody can put together a deck with some numbers and data tables up on the slides showing you good or bad ROAS, but like what's the story behind it? Where is this headed? What is this achieving in the long run? So if someone can communicate, hey, we're going after these top of search awareness plays so that the customer 2 weeks down the line when they're making this $500,000 purchase, if it's a large ticket item, they remember us. They're coming back and they're searching for our brand name rather than us trying to win top of search all the time. We made that connection in the beginning of the funnel. So having someone that can communicate that strategy rather than just here's your campaigns, here's your ACOS, I think is really important to help those internal stakeholders go communicate to your CFO, your finance team, your CEO, what you're doing with your marketing spend, right?
Exactly, for sure. And I see it work so much even on me. Like you see these really cool ads, right? And you see them on Amazon, you see them on Instagram, you see them on TikTok of these brands, and then you might walk into Walmart and see their product, and you're like, I've been wanting to try this. And because they've built that awareness and because they've built that authority and they really told their story well, now I'll probably put that item in my cart and get it. Or the next time their ad shows up to me on Amazon, catches me off guard because I'm, maybe on a different product listing, I probably will buy it because they've just built that excitement so well. And that's really what we try to help brands do is build that, that awareness so that they can capture those new to brand users and they're going to use them for years to come because they just really built that out well.
Yeah, it's funny how much sponsor brand really going on a tangent here down this awareness point we brought up is sponsor brands are like such billboards, digital billboards now that you're going to get a lot of clicks, a lot of spend from it because it's at the top of search. It's the most visualized ad with like custom images and videos. But a lot of times people won't buy off that. I know I don't. I'll click on many sponsor brand ads and learn about the brand, the product. But oftentimes when I do purchase, I'm coming back and looking for those brands or those specific products I learned about a couple weeks ago. But going back to the whole education point, again, if you're new here to this podcast, if you're new to Better Media, first time hearing about us, go check us out on LinkedIn, check out our YouTube. We are educators first and foremost. Like, we are advertisers because that's what we know how to do, but we want to teach the industry at large. Hey, here's the new betas. Here's what's cool with AMC. We like to educate clients and non-clients. So again, to your point, Jess, we like to educate our internal clients so they can go communicate and understand the strategy that's being run, what they're investing in, rather than just trusting your agency, which, that's the method of some.
Yeah, for sure. And off of your point there, Justin, that is a question we get asked. Like, I'll talk with these people and they get really excited and they're like, listen, the last agency I worked with, I spoke with someone like yourself, and then I got handed off to an account manager that had really no clue what they were doing. I know that's not always the case, but they didn't have maybe as in-depth strategies or as in-depth knowledge on the ad side. And they were just kind of running them through a, a cycle or running them through a protocol. And they felt like after that first call or that first month, they kind of just went on autopilot. They're like, how do I ensure that doesn't happen with you guys? And that is something, like Justin just said, our team is constantly learning and we're constantly teaching. And that is something that we put at priority. So if you come through our doors and you're a smaller brand, we're still going to talk with you about best next steps to your advertising strategy or, your overall strategy for growing your brand. So don't hesitate to reach out to us, because we want you to leave the call that we have with you feeling more prepared to be on Amazon.
Yeah, I want to point that out and kind of reiterate, you're not talking to a salesperson here at Better Media. Jess herself is even in accounts advertising. Like, her title is head of client success, but you are very much an advertiser. You know your ads and your match types and how to build campaigns. Like, you are a really good strategist. So we all come to meetings together at Better Media to share, this is what I'm seeing in accounts. This is what's working. Have you guys tried this? So it's a very collaborative environment here. Not to say look at us, but that's what we like to do is not be salespeople. You aren't passed off to someone who is the expert, or there's not one expert that lives on the team teaching everybody else. Like, we are everybody's raising each other's bars. So it's been fun here. So shout out to you, Jess. I guess that's a long-winded shout out to our head of client success.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to tell people, like, when you work with one of us, you work with all of us because of how many meetings we have. And whenever there's like a roadblock in an account, we bring it to the table on our weekly meeting of like, hey, I'm facing this problem, or this client needs X metric met. Like, what do you guys suggest? So you really get access to the whole Better Media team. And then if you decide to partner with us on that second call, I'll always have the team that I think fits your brand the best on that call, so that you can meet them and ask them all of the difficult questions to make sure they're, one, a good personality fit, because we feel that's super important. And then two, to make sure they have the same kind of knowledge that, you are seeing out of our CEO, Destiny Wishon. She's constantly putting out, great content. And you want to make sure that we all have that same amount of knowledge. So you ask us all the hard questions. And if we can't answer it, we'll find you the answer, but definitely don't be afraid to ask questions.
Absolutely. So back to the original question here, I wanted to ask, were there any other like big pain points or headaches that you're seeing common trends and themes across multiple conversations? Or is it really kind of sticking to, not really having cutting edge strategy and I have to fish for my ideas?
Yeah, those are the big ones. I mean, I could list a long list of them, to be honest, but those are the common ones. And then also, like, not understanding budget utilization, like how much is my budget is going to top of funnel, how much is going to, targeting my branded name search. Like, that's something we see a lot. Like, we'll have these big brands come to us, and 80 or 90% of their budget is going to branded terms. So they're really not going after new to brand. They're not really building their audience base, because these people are already aware of their brand if they're typing that into the search, right? So really kind of being able to break out where your dollars are going and what they're accomplishing is something that a lot of brands are not receiving from whoever they're currently working with. So that's a big pain point.
So when people are coming to you and looking for solutions, there's two options on the table. There's specialized providers and full service management, which I'm sure many people listening to our podcast have heard of one, both, worked with either. For those not familiar, where do we fall in that spectrum, and kind of what is the difference between each end of it, full service and very specialized?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start with where we fall. We're very specialized, right? We want to bring you customized solutions. So we're very niched in what we do. And we like to work with brands that we feel are, are wanting the same kind of thing, right? Same values. On that side of it, I would say the pros of working with someone like us is you're going to get the customized solution. You're going to get the very customized communication, customized reporting. Everything is custom to your needs, right? So we're definitely, I don't feel like ads is a one size fits all kind of industry. You really need to work with someone that really understands your goals. And that's what we do here at Better Media. Now, for the full service side, when that comes into play or when you need to work with an agency like that, I I do have brands that come through our doors that I might kind of suggest that. It's not normal, excuse me, not normally a suggestion I make, but I do sometimes. And that's when they, one, don't have the in-house support or don't have the budget to really hire an individual solution for everything, right? Like maybe it's creatives. They don't have the budget to hire a creative agency and a listing agency and an inventory, someone who manages their inventory, and all these different roles that you're going to need fulfilled, right? Or maybe they don't have the knowledge of what any of that is about, and they've kind of are in over their heads. So that's when I can honestly tell them, like, hey, the stage that you're at in your business, you really should reach out to someone who manages all of this and have them help you get going and get you a solid foundation. And then once your product takes off, you need to reach out to us again.
So for those brands that are just trying to get into a retail ready spot, it sounds like full service management is really, kind of a sweet spot for you, as you can get, all areas of your Amazon listing and hopefully your eventual brand up to a competitive level, versus the specialized is really where most of the people we talk to is what they're needing is that specialized approach. Hence, I don't have any like specialized strategy. Look back to your original point at the beginning. So even within the specialized column of agencies, there's multiple options. There's softwares, there's managed teams, and then kind of a mix of both. And that's exactly what we do. Is we're tech enabled through our own in-house built tools, and also through the Amazon API. But you are very much talking to humans, getting on calls with someone that's leading your strategy, not using a cookie cutter approach to your account and strategy. So, what are you seeing more people like having favor with? Is it like software? Are they really looking for the individualized approach to their advertising in the managed side?
Yeah, individual. I think one, as you know, like if you follow us at all or if you've heard of us at all, the content we're putting out, people can really relate to, and they're like, it's like a light bulb moment. Like, I don't feel like that's being done in my account, right? So normally when they come through our doors, they understand what Better Media is about. So that's why they're coming to us. So most of the time, yes, that's what they're looking for. Is they don't want that, going back to what is the pain points, the brands I'm talking to, they're not wanting that one size fits all approach. They're not wanting to be put on autopilot, which is a lot of times some of these softwares that you connect to your account, you're just putting in different metrics that are going to adjust things accordingly. And it's not really taking into consideration the product and the conversion rate, all these different things that you really need to understand to build out a customized solution. So yes, in answer to your question, they're looking for a more customized solution, and they're trying to move away from that cookie cutter approach.
I think we may have summed it up by this point. If you haven't, been able to figure out who's best for us and who is best to look at other agencies, then maybe we didn't do our job here. But Jess, I want to ask you that very direct question: is what kind of brands are the best to work with Better Media, and who should maybe we pass along to another agency?
Yeah, so definitely brands that are looking for long-term growth, brands that are not going anywhere, right? They want to be leaders in the category that they're in. Their product is set apart from the competitors. They're winning in one area or another. Um, when you stack them up to their competitor. So they have a strong brand. That's what we like to work with. It's brands that really have a strong brand and they want to tell that story and they want a roadmap of success. That's who we like to work with because we can help you the best, right? And then brands that I feel we don't work with as well is brands that are super profitability focused, which, like I said in the beginning, everyone needs profit. So we definitely understand that and we balance that. But brands that are only looking to basically have a healthier margin and that's all they're focused on. And they're not really, they don't really care to focus on their long-term goals because they're just worried about month to month. That's kind of when I have to have that conversation of like, hey, listen, here's a better solution for you because I understand you're in a tough spot right now, but Better Media is here to help you grow long term. So we really need the budgets and we need the vision, an aligned vision to get you there.
Of course, yeah. Having that long-sighted approach is really it. Having a brand that you want to grow across the full funnel, and that's not to say we're not, all trying to achieve a target ROAS, which go back and listen to. I think it was 2 episodes ago we had a podcast talking about how can you have a full funnel approach, awareness down to remarketing and loyalty, while still achieving a target ROAS. So if we can communicate, this is what we're doing purely for eyeballs. Here's what we're doing to get clicks. Here's what we're doing to get sales. Those are the types of conversations we want to be having rather than why is, these 2 campaigns, why are they below my target ROAS? We need to be working holistically as a plan. That's not to say we don't want to optimize things where we can, but we need to be focused on the big picture rather than these little minor changes that won't grow your long-term top line sales.
Exactly. And that's why it's difficult. And that's why not everyone's doing it, right? Because you have to layer in all those factors. You have to layer in ROAS. You have to layer in long-term. It's so many different factors that you're layering in when you're building out these strategies. And that's why you need a customized solution and you need an agency that can support that. And that's what Better Media is here for.
So for anybody that may want to come talk to Better Media or whether this, sparked up your ideas to go talk to another provider, what should people be asking? What should brands and marketers be asking, a potential agency when you're talking about a partnership? What questions are like critical to make sure that you're finding the best partner?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it would kind of working in reverse here. Go back to those pain points I mentioned and ask those upfront. Like, are you going to be building out a customized solution for me? And in that discovery process, make sure they kind of give you a peek into what that'll look like. Ask them what is their core strategies as an agency that they layer in for their brands, right? What kind of things will they be reporting on? Are they going to tell you where the budget is going, or you just going to give them a yearly budget and then they get to do what they want with it? Or are they really going to explain like, hey, I'm putting 20% to this, 30% to this, so on. So really ask those hard questions. How often will we have calls to discuss strategy? Will my account manager be the one doing the work, or is it going to be outsourced to someone else? Because the person who is actually working in your account is the one you need to be speaking with weekly or monthly, or however often your call cadence is, so you can really understand the strategies they're executing.
Yeah, we want to make sure whether it's software or even like team help, like, we here at Better Media, we have multiple people on accounts, kind of like you were referencing earlier, but like the person you're talking to should have their hands in the account and hands on, campaigns and knowing what's being launched and, directly involved. So make sure that they're very tight and intimate with your brand, your products, your goals. I know a conversation I like to have when partnering with anybody is learning more about their business outside of just advertising. It all has context, right? We need to know what products are coming down the pipeline to be launched, what might be discontinued, and thus can we save some budget to make some more long-term investments on other products. So you need context to the whole business. And I think that's pretty critical when you're choosing an advertising partner too.
Yeah, it all goes into play, and you don't realize that unless you're really in it day to day. But the more we know, the more educated decisions we can make. So we love to know all that. Which stores are you in? What are your, we're always like taking, if we see a store display of one of our brands, we're like taking pictures and sharing it in the Slack channel because we all love that. Like, really getting to see the brands that we manage, like in different placements and different stores is always exciting. So, getting to share that with us and so we can really understand the full vision that you're telling your customers is going to help us do a better job on Amazon or Walmart, wherever we're managing your media.
Well, Jess, I mean, you're doing a great job at, routing and matchmaking brands to the best people here at Better Media. Definitely want to pick up this conversation again when, a little bit later on this year, see if there's any new headaches in the industry. This is kind of a good weather check, I think, with you. We need to do this more often.
Yeah, we can do some follow up. I would love to go over some case studies too of brands that came through the door with those pain points and how they're feeling now.
I think that would be a great idea. Well, again, thank you so much for being here today. To everybody else, thank you for joining in. If you found this episode valuable, please share this with your teams, your other colleagues in the industry, and give us a follow so you don't miss any future episodes. To that note, join us next time, and everyone have a great rest of your day. Cheers.